Women with Men by Richard Ford. Richard Ford was born in Mississippi on February 16th in 1944. His father was ill most of his childhood and eventually dies of a heart attack in 1960. The sick and feeble nature of his father left him in the hands of his grandfather, former prizefighter and railroad operator from childhood to adulthood. He attends Michigan University where he meets Christina Hensley, whom he marries in 1968. Richard Ford is cool and all, but I find his book Women with Men to be much more interesting. The novel is fiction and contains three stories, The Womanizer, Jealous, and Occidentals, where Ford explores different relationships between men and women. The first story, The Womanizer, is about a married man named Austin Martin who falls in love with the new divorcee, Josephine Belliard, on a business trip to Paris. Martin and Josephine begin a very innocent relationship. Martin returns home to his wife of 6 years, Barbara, in Illinois, only to come back a week later to Paris. As the story progresses, Martin learns the exponential difference between infatuation and love, by deciding his love for his wife would always be stronger than his interest in Josephine. The story has very strong parallels to the ill-fated romance Romeo and Juliet, by how suddenly the pair fell in love and how quickly their flame blew out. The second story, Jealous, is about a young man in Montana that abruptly leaves his home accompanied by his aunt to run away from his estranged mother. The two witness a saloon killing on their journey and board a train direct to Chicago. There are hints of a secret relationship throughout the story, and Ford includes constant archetypes in nature that suggest danger and death. The third and final story, Occidentals, includes the former teacher and new writer Charlie Matthews. Matthews is in Paris awaiting his publisher and translator to finalize his novel capturing his divorce. He is staying with his mistress Helen and learns that his publicist will be a few days later than expected. Helen is a lively former dancer and is suffering from cancer. Matthews grows to hate Helen throughout the story and learns that being with someone for a few hours is very different than a few days. My favorite passage from the story is, "Everything just started to go wrong and unravel. Your life could be on track to ruin, to your being on the street and disappearing from view entirely. And you, in spite of your best efforts, your best hope that it will all go differently, you could only stand by and watch it happen." I found this important because it speaks to the fate over free will idea in the novel and connects to each individual story throughout the main character's choices. The idea is opposite to the presence of free will in Crime and Punishment, where each character's death or unhappiness was the result of the decisions they made. The passage also attests to the theme of the novel, which is that when a person is happy, human nature pushes them to find happiness elsewhere, which can result in them losing their original happiness. People today should read this novel because 1, it's a very good read, and 2, it's an easy how not to treat other human beings, in case a reader needs a refresher.